Well, hello there. My name is Mark Miles, and as many of you know, I love helping trainers, presenters, facilitators really take their game to the next level. And in today's video, I want to talk about a topic that is actually one of the biggest unconscious stressors for trainers. And it's one of the hardest things that you will ever have to do. And it's sort of this video. It touches on a topic that's a little bit impolite. We're going to talk about a topic that people like, it's the elephant in the room. It is the thing that is hardest for trainers to do because we have to put our ego aside. And the topic of today's video is how do we effectively and powerfully co-facilitate with another trainer. Now, this is very difficult. It is so hard because we have to put our ego aside. We have to put our tactics aside. We have to put our strategies aside. And we have to be able to combine to create a great experience for our learners. And we have to unite. We have to unite. Okay. So co-facilitating is something that people can really struggle with, all right, because you have personality clashes, you have different ways of approaching things, you have different messaging that comes across, and it is really, really, really important that you get the fundamentals of co-facilitation under your belt so that you can deliver an amazing experience. All right, so in today's video, I just wanted to share with you 11 tips, yes, 11 tips on how you can effectively set up the framework so that your workshop will go well if you are ever co-facilitating with another trainer or educator, so to speak. All right. This could be used in the learning and development space in the corporate world, or it could be used in the vet sector in adult education. Regardless of the environment, if you are ever co-facilitating, you've got to get these framework, all of these things handled so that your session goes well. All right. So first thing I want to recommend that you do, and definitely grab a pen to start writing these down. First one that I recommend that you do is know your personality. What I mean by that is, are you the kind of person that can just get up on stage and just speak off the cuff? Or are you the person that likes to plan things out? Or are you the kind of person that likes to be really analytical? Or are you the kind of person that is really friendly and loves people? Okay. Regardless of what personality type you are, you need to know your own, and your other facilitator needs to know their own personality as well. And you need to have a discussion around that. You need to be able to say, look, for me, when I'm presenting, I really need X, Y, Z. All right. I really need structure, or I really need to be able to have the freedom to be able to speak from whatever comes to me in the moment. All right. You need to have that discussion of what is it in your personality that you need most when you are facilitating. All right. Have that conversation so that when things happen, it's not a surprise. Okay. So, first one, know thyself or know thy personality and discuss it with your co facilitator. Second, number two, if you're writing this down, which I hope you are, is know your outcomes for the entire workshop. You need to define what are you actually looking to achieve in the workshop and as a result of the workshop. And you need to keep those outcomes top of mind whenever you are having discussions around planning or around when you are up delivering. You need to have those outcomes top of mind. All right. You both need to be, or if there's more of you, you need to be working towards the same outcome. Okay. Number three, allocate special sections or specific sections to you or your co-facilitator based on your strengths and your knowledge areas. Okay, so ideally, you need to be looking at your entire program and the topics that you are talking about, and you need to allocate them successfully based on what you or the other person are really good at, so to speak. Okay, and essentially, you need to be able to help people stay in your lane. So, what I mean by that is, if you are really good at something, you nominate yourself as the person that's going to speak on that topic or train on that topic. For the other person, let them allocate what they want to talk about as well. Okay. Now that leads to the next point, which is number four, which is create flexibility around timings. Okay. Know that when people stay in their lane, which is great, but know that when someone gets passionate about a topic, they may go over time or other areas that may go under time. All right. So create contingencies around how you're going to work with timings. Okay. So have extra things to do, or know that you've got to have the discipline to cut back. Okay. So you have to have the conversation around how are you going to work with timings. Okay. So if you're planning something, my philosophy is always triple it. So if you think it's going to take 10 minutes, imagine it's going to take 30, and then how are you going to deal with that? Okay. So always be very flexible with your timings. Next one, number 5, is defer questions. Defer questions. So ideally, if you get an audience member that's asking you a question about a topic that you are not speaking on, tell the audience member, please speak to the other person about that topic. Okay. It's really important that you defer questions to the other person, or they defer questions to you, because you or the other person are going to be specialists in that area. Okay. Next one, number 6, is keep your messaging consistent no matter what. This is a really hard one. It is a really hard one because you, as a trainer or facilitator, and the other person, they're going to have their personal bias around the topic. Okay. So it's really important that, for example, they are up delivering a message, then you go up and take over from them. You have to make sure that your messaging, no matter what it is consistent so that your audience don't get confused between what you say and what the other facilitator says. Okay. Next one. Again, you need to define daily outcomes. Okay. So a big key to success when co-facilitating is clearly defined outcomes. Clearly defined outcomes. And I'll say it again, clearly defined outcomes. Now, earlier in point number 2, I said know your outcomes for the entire course. But this point, I want to say know your outcomes for each individual session and your outcomes for each day that you are delivering on as well. Okay. Next one. Next one can be one of the hardest ones, is trust your partner. Trust your partner to know that they are going to do a good job. They're going to have your back and you're going to have their back as well. So staying in your lane is really important. Deferring questions to each other is really important. And through doing those kind of things, you build up trust. Okay. Next one, have contingencies. Have agreed upon contingencies as to what you are going to do if different things happen. So, for example, if this activity happens and this happens in that way, well, we are going to do X. Okay. Have those contingencies clear and top of mind when you are planning out your session or your workshop. Okay. Next one. This is point number 10, is have a daily review. Okay. So after you finish presenting or facilitating, make sure that you sit down together and have a discussion. What went well today? What went well today? And if we ever did today again, what's one thing we do differently? And acknowledge the other person. Tell them what did they do well, and the other person, get them to acknowledge you. What did you do well? Okay. And then self-reflect. Make sure that you have that space to be able to think back on your own performance and share authentically. It's not a time to give each other feedback. It's a time to sit back and reflect. Okay. Now, I say that because people, if you set up a frame of feedback and a frame of, oh, it's going to get uncomfortable, or you're going to criticize each other, it's going to break down the relationship. Okay. But set up that time to self reflect and then strategically go, okay, cool. How are we going to integrate and take those learnings from today into tomorrow and make it even better? Okay. So, next, number 11 is when one person is presenting or facilitating, ideally, if you can set up a structure where the other person is walking around the room and supporting students as they're going through their learning process or doing the activities, that is really the best way to co-facilitate, so to speak. So you've got a lead trainer and then you've got a supporting trainer. Now, those roles are going to alternate, and both people are going to be there to make an amazing experience, but at different sections or segments, you're going to have a lead trainer and then a support person, and then that's going to swap depending on the topic that's being talked about. Okay, so just to recap, in order for successful co-facilitation to happen, you have to be able to set up frameworks that make that teamwork really successful. Okay, so hopefully those ideas are helpful. Hopefully you can run with those ideas and make sure going forward you set up the structures so that the experience is amazing for you and also the audience. Thanks for watching.